Now, more of Illinois Rising, presented by the Illinois Policy Institute, the only show directly addressing the problems and solutions for Illinois. Now, from AM 560, here's Dan Proft.
Dan Proft back with you, and joined this week in Illinois Rising by Jacob Hubert, who's a litigator with the Liberty Justice Center at the Illinois Policy Institute. And Jacob, we're starting to see a rash of teacher strikes all of a sudden. First, the grade school district in Prospect Heights, now high school district in both McHenry County as well as in East St. Louis. It seems like teachers' unions are running kind of headlong into the fiscal realities that school boards are trying to navigate with respect to the encumbrances of salaries and, in particular, benefits.
Yeah, it seems like unions across the board generally don't want to hear about that sort of thing, about the financial problems. Whatever those problems are, of course, they want themselves to keep getting raises no matter what. And they're so unreasonable about it that in some cases they're striking, even if it means children's education is severely disrupted.
Well, let's talk about McHenry High School District 156, and let's do that with Andrew Gasser, who's a McHenry County board member. And he's been doing yeoman's work and posting on his blog, andrewgasser.com, the salaries of all the teachers and administrators in district, and importantly, the pensions. Andrew, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you very much for having me.
So the strike resulted in the canceling of the homecoming football game. So a lot of students in McHenry probably not happy about that. But more long-term, we've got an issue where teachers want about 5% per annum raise, and the board's offering about 2.7%. And they're at an impasse. What's your sense of where the community stands on this standoff at present?
Well, it's been an incredible amount of personal contact with me after I started putting this out. I'm not sure why, both sides didn't put out the pensions and the salaries, but once we started doing this, what I found personally is there are a lot of people who understand educators, but they really are upset that they're paying so much in property taxes. Dan, McHenry County, Illinois is the 29th highest property tax county. Not in Illinois, but the United States. We are the 29th most expensive. And when you start looking at all of these different taxing bodies that just keep raising their levy every year, it's ridiculous. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, teacher salaries and teachers' pensions have the most impact on our tax bills. My tax bills, the top three line items are School District 3, which is my elementary school district, School District 155, which is the high school, and the county college. So
now, I know that the people must be annoyed to have to pay all these taxes and very wary of having to pay even more if the school district has to shell out more money for salaries and so on. But I would imagine that parents must also be very upset about their children's education being interrupted in this way and their lives being turned upside down because of the union's self-interest. What are you hearing from people about that?
It's funny because everybody's always saying it's about the children, but what is coming out, and this didn't start with the first story, but by this story, they're like, this really isn't about the kids. This is about the teachers and them going out on strike in the middle of the school year. And yes, it's before homecoming. Homecoming is canceled. Unfortunately, the Warriors had to forfeit their game. And, that's going to change forever. Now, they did say they're going to try to get some of those homecoming activities after the strike. But, it's ruined. A lot of the parents, the school district has done a pretty good job as far as, graduation rates. And they do have, they're producing a pretty good student relative to other school districts. But, the parents are upset that their kids aren't in school. And quite frankly, when you go to the board and listen to the board and all that, they just want this solved. And they don't understand why this is happening now. It's really frustrating them.
Well, and to the point of, that the school district does a good job and produces a good student, that's good. But it's also a mutually beneficial situation, as I understand it from talking to some of the school board members. Very high retention rate, like north of 90% retention rate. And when they have an opening at 156, they're getting a couple of 100+ applications for every opening. So there's a strong desire for teachers to stay there, and there's a strong desire for teachers to be employed there. So that says something about, in part at least, the compensation package that's offered, which is right in line with the median household income in McHenry.
Absolutely. We have a median income of about $76,000 per working adult in McHenry County. That statistic comes from the U.S. Census Bureau. And we do. And what's happening in School District 156 isn't uncommon with other high school districts. What has been conveyed to me is that, School District 156, while has a high compensation rate, they're not as high as, say, School District 155 or other ones. To me, as a personal small business man, you want turnover. You want to sit there and you want competition. So I didn't hear that statistic where, they're getting a couple hundred applicants for every one opening. In fact, I've been told, that we have a teacher shortage, and I'm starting to see now different things. And this whole process, Dan, has just been absolutely incredible, because people are really now starting to look at their property tax bill and say, we have a problem here with our school district, and we don't want to go after the teachers per se, but we all have to recognize, doesn't matter what side you fall on, that this is unsustainable.
Well, and also, in addition to looking at property taxes, the property tax bills, they need to look at your site, andrewgasser.com, because the numbers that you posted about pensions really tell a story that is undertold. Just for example, there's one individual who's a current pensioner who's retired at the age of 60, retired prior to that because he's already been paid $1.472 million to date in retirement income, and he contributed $25,000 into the pension fund. So he is $25,000 in, $1.47 million out, and that's just to date at age 60. If he lives to median age, he's in line for another $2 million. I mean, this is why you can't make the numbers work if you're a school board, if you're a municipality, if you're a local unit of government, if you're the state of Illinois.
I know I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but all of the teachers who are drawing up that pension need to call up Bruce Rauner and thank him for his obscene ability to get a good rate of return on their pension fund, or they would be in more trouble now than they are. If I went to my stockbroker and asked for that kind of return, number one, he would look at me and say I was crazy. But if he could do that, he would probably be investigated by the Securities Exchange Commission, and then he would definitely be thrown out of office, because there's no way in the private sector can we get these kind of pensions for a private sector person. Look, I'm a retired Air Force officer. I make about $24,000 a year in my pension. And, that's after 20, almost 21 years of service. And I put that out there because everybody's asking me, how come you, what's your pension like? It's nothing like what they get. Well,
sure. I mean, Bono didn't get this rate of return as an early investor in Facebook. I mean, it is unbelievable. Andrew Gasser, we're going to have to leave it there. Andrew Gasser, McHenry County Board member, thanks for following this and putting together all this information so people can get a look at the actual numbers. Appreciate your time.
Dan, thank you so much, and I hope to talk to you again soon. Take care.